What's going on? We back at it again. Another episode of the Man to Man Pod. I'm AB Antoine Bethea. Got my co-host DB Darius Butler, and
Yes,
today, man, we got
sir.
our first guest, Tre Boston from the Carolina Panthers, man. So we're excited to have him. Definitely, he's going to bring a lot of energy to the show. But
Yes,
first,
sir.
man, we're going to jump into it. Came out NFLPA and NFL agreed to no preseason games. And that I think that's something huge. Something that the
Yeah.
players may have, liked in the past, but this year, how do you feel about that? Being that we didn't have any OTAs, um, they, you know, no preseason games. Like how do you
Yeah.
think that's going to affect some of the players this year?
I mean, it's definitely obviously, they're trying to minimize the contact and minimize people traveling and doing those type of things. So cutting out the preseason games, I think, is a good thing health wise. But as far as guys who need those preseason games, to make a team, they already cutting roster down from 90 to 80. You got guys who, because in the NFL, especially in training camp, you're trying out not only for your team but for the other 31 teams. So when you play in the
Exactly.
preseason games, I know we all remember Victor Cruz, for instance, like when he blew up on the scene against the Jets. I think it was. I'm not sure, but he had that crazy game, and everybody saw it. The
Hmm.
whole nation saw that. Every other team saw that. So those opportunities won't be there for the guys, and it'll probably for guys in management in the front office making the decisions, they'll probably lean towards, that veteran to make the team this year over the younger guy who, hasn't had an off season, OTAs, mini camps to pick certain things up. So I think it definitely affect some of those guys on the bottom half of the roster. But guys are gonna have to adjust, and these practices is gonna mean that much more, man.
Yeah, yeah, and then it's also tough from I guess say the the front of the front office aspect where you're critiquing these guys on the field, and I know you've seen it, I've seen it where you have practice all stars. You know what I'm saying? Where in
Yeah,
practice, guys are making plays, guys are making all the calls and things of that nature, but then when those
yeah.
lights come on, like that player disappears. You know
It's
what
a
I'm
whole
saying?
different story.
So it could be one of them things where not hating on anybody, but that just is
Yeah,
what it is. I mean, it happens. So again, I just think, like you said, it's going to be unfortunate for some guys that's coming in that may be at the bottom of the roster, who's counting on that first preseason game, that last preseason game to really put their name out there, to really put some good film out there. And I think you really said something important where I don't think a lot of people know, where you may be on a team doing training camp, but you are out there auditioning for the other 31 teams that's seeing you play.
absolutely.
So the no preseason games, like I said, I think it's a great idea as far as health wise. But as far as guys trying to make the team, man, I think it's going to be some guys that's going to be left to the wayside.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't know, those preseason games, like that's really, for a lot of times, really the only time we're full tackling. Because in the
Yeah,
NFL, we don't tackle to the ground a lot. You'll have a couple periods here and there, short yardage, goal line. But as far as cornerback, safeties, tackling receivers and running back in space and getting them to the ground, like we're not doing that in practice. Guys are too valuable. You don't want to get hurt. So the only time you're doing that is in a preseason game before the real game starts. So I think that'll have an effect on the decision makers as well. Like you said, when the lights go on, some people who been terrible in practice too. I seen it the other way around.
yeah,
Can't really get it together, not really making the plays. And then when them lights come on in this real action, they flying around making plays, they blowing
for
people up
real.
on special teams. So it's definitely gonna be interesting this year. This year has already been, completely different than anything we've seen before. So it's just gonna continue being that way. And now these practices, and they're gonna the acclimation period. I believe it's a couple weeks, and then they start practicing with pass on, and then they go right into the game. Like that's like right into the real game. That's gonna be crazy, man.
It is, man. And my honest opinion, if we keep it in the same track where we at right now, where everybody reports July 28th, and the first game I think is set, what, September 10th
I think it's
or
50. 50 days from now, so somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, if we if we stay along this track with no preseason game, I think the first month of football is going to be ugly. I think it's going to be, and that's just me being honest.
That's
You
a
know what I'm
fact.
saying?
That's a
Where,
fact.
like you said, like it's like no tackling. So as coaches, as staff, like how do we implement tackling within practice, so we can get guys ready for full contact, but at the same time, we
Yeah,
want to keep our players safe. You know what I mean? And
that's a
I
tough
just
line
think
to tread.
it's going to be a lot of a
Oh,
lot of missed tackles on film come that first month. And that's just me being real. Obviously, it's hard enough with just the way guys are elusive and
yeah.
guys are just bigger and stronger. It's already hard enough to tackle in this in the game now. But like you said, with no preseason games, man, and not being able to tackle, I think this is going to be ugly for at least the first quarter of the season.
It is, man. It's definitely not going to be the same product that fans are used to seeing. And even as vets, as much as I hated preseason and the game, because once you play, a certain amount of games, you kind of feel like but it's still good to get that dress rehearsal. It's still good to just go out there and go through different routines. Hey, once third down, come on, hey, it's good for the coaches too to kind of go through
Yeah.
that rehearsal where hey, punt team up. A guy
Hmm.
goes down, guys get hurt. Now it's like, okay, this guy got to step up. We know how it goes in the game. I was watching the game a few months ago when we played the Broncos. I think it might have been the first time Peyton came back. And
Hmm.
I went down, Josh Gordy went down, and they had you in there nickel. I said,
It got real.
yeah, so things change fast. So it's good to at least kind of have some sense of, hey, how is it? Especially we'll have Trey on later, but someone like the Panthers, they got a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new head coach that's coming from college. So it's a whole new ball game over there. So it's definitely going to be interesting these first few games in the NFL. Hopefully, hoping that we make it that far.
Yeah,
But we'll
man.
see
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
man. We'll
yeah.
see.
We definitely will.
But as far as training camp, man, so as how things look right now, we will have a training camp. So I know you've been through 13, 14 training camps at this point.
Hmm.
Trying to go back to that first one or first two, like what are some things that you would tell your younger self, that you would tell a guy going to this first training camp right now, especially this offseason, to kind of, hey, make sure you do this or this and that, and this will give you your best opportunity to make that team.
I would think for me, I would tell a young guy, find the vet. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. Find the vet and ask a vet or watch a vet and see what that vet does. I think for me, coming into I would say my rookie year, um, I had a good group of guys. Marlon Jackson was going in his second year. Kelvin Hayden was going in his second year. And then you had Reggie Wayne. You had Gary Brackett, Robert Mathis, and those guys. They were like, they welcomed me with open arms. So to be able
Mm-hmm.
to watch those guys and see what they did as far as getting in the cold tub after every practice, the way they was in the weight room. So for me, that kind of helped me. Obviously, it
Yeah.
was some things that I really didn't know about as far as hey, look, try to get to the calf as soon as you can, eat as fast as you can, and get back to the room so you can get you a nap.
Yeah.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like those
Clutch.
little
Those are clutch.
things. Exactly. Like those little things where instead of that break, you want to go to the room and you want to call your girl or call your
Yeah.
homeboys, tell them how practice is going, and before you know it, it's time to get back to that locker room. So, really trying to figure out at the end of the night, if you got to stay after with the coaches to get into the playbook, ask some questions, or get to
Mm-hmm.
the room, get with an older guy, and have him go through the playbook with you as well. So I just think those things are really like some of the things I would tell the younger guys, man. Like find a vet, ask a vet, what have you been doing your career to to see why you're successful and why you're still here in the league for this long, and just make sure you get good rest. Make sure you get good rest.
Yeah, it's definitely important that you ask them questions, man, because it's not better than ask somebody who done been there before, who done seen it before, seen it over and over again. So asking them questions, I think for me, Definitely realizing how important sleep is because you would think
Hmm.
it's easy to get sleep in training camp. You're tired, you're beating yourself up all day, you get to the room. But I remember being young, being up on the phone all night, playing a video game or something, just doing stupid shit. So, getting your rest, man, hydrating. If you're not getting up and going to the bathroom a couple of times in the middle of the night, you ain't hydrating enough. Because I know back in the
Yeah,
day when I first came in, we had them 2 days. It was real. So that
real.
hydrating and sleep that'll help you prevent a lot of those soft tissue injuries. It'll help you prevent those little hammies and little groins, calf here and there, because those things happen every training camp. And you don't that's the last thing you want, especially in a situation when you battling with guys, you battling to make a team. You fighting for a roster spot. You don't want to be hurt, for a week or 2 weeks with something that you could have prevented. Because injury is gonna happen, but there's certain things that you can prevent by just getting the right hydration, getting the right sleep, just taking care of yourself, man. I think another thing is being trying to be one step ahead of the installs. So when you coming into that meeting, that next morning, you should already have a couple questions, based off what,
Hmm.
what they're putting in that day. Because they're going to shoot it to you the night before at least. Like, hey, we
Yeah.
can be installing this. We don't install 3 tomorrow. So coming into it, that shouldn't be your first time that you're seeing that stuff, that morning to meet. You should already come in there like, hey, coach, I was looking at this last night. I just got a question about, okay, and they hit you, okay, boom, boom. And that way they know that you're locked in, that you care about what's going on. And in turn, you really get more information. So when you hit that practice field, you can play. You can play full speed. So I think that's important, man.
No, for sure. You want to piggyback on something you just said as well. Don't be afraid to go to the trainers. I know a lot of times, a lot of people say stay out that training room, and I was one of those guys. But for the young guys,
Oh
and I think
yeah,
you said it. I think you said it where, if you tweak your hammy and you like, nah, I'm good. Go in that training
mm-hmm.
room and make sure you get that thing rubbed out, you get in the
Yeah,
cold tub or whatever the case may be. Because like you said, that tweak could turn into a pool where,
yeah,
if you had to miss maybe a morning practice or whatever, that pool, you're gonna miss a week and a half,
yep.
and you can't make the you can't make the club in the tub. You know what I
Can't
mean?
make the
So
club in the tub.
um so yeah, I think that's one thing. But then again, like you just said, I mean, get being one step ahead of the game, just showing that you're locked in. Again, going back to the going back to the room, watching a lot of film, watching the practice. I know you'll go in and you'll watch the practice with the coaching and
Mm-hmm.
with the defense or offensive side of the ball. But again, go back to that room and really be your harshest critic or your worst critic, and really be pay attention to all the details. Take excellent
Yeah,
notes, and this is something that I'll say that to the young guys. Um, when the coaches are talking, you should be writing
yeah.
at all times. When the coaches are talking, you should be writing. Whether it's the first meeting in the morning, because coaches are gonna drop some nuggets. They'll drop
Mm-hmm.
some nuggets where you can use 10, 12 years down the line.
Yeah,
Um, and your notebook should be full. Your notebook should be full. It should be no time where you go into the meeting room, you don't have any pen or paper. Like, you should be writing notes. Whatever the coaches are saying, jot them notes down. They might be useful to you, they might not be useful to it, but jot that stuff down, and those things and they can work out for you.
yeah. That's real game because you can go back to those. Shoot in the season during the season. 'Cause I think it's important that not only you learning what they're teaching you, but it's important that within the coverages you understand what's important to your coach. You know what I mean? Because if you're playing for different coaches, it's certain things that certain coaches they harp on more. Like it's more important to know, hey, this is something we really like, whether it's, how you set the edge or how you get to your drops or how you reroute somebody. Like one coach may be completely different from the other one. So I think it's very, very important that you're locked in and in tune with what your coach wants to see. From the person that's doing this job. So that's key. What you said, taking them notes,
Hmm.
being locked in, being attentive, asking good questions, and not only
Hmm.
just asking them, but actually understanding. You hear an answer, don't just be like, oh yeah, I got it. But like really understand the answer. You know what I'm saying? Not being afraid to not only ask a coach, but ask a vet, man. Because one thing for me was not trying to remember every call, every play, and just really compartmentalizing. All right, So this is grouped up with that. Okay, so these are
Yeah.
these type of blitzes, like for instance, in Indy, when we have the defensive back blitzes, like they were all snakes. We'll have
Yep.
snake fires on a cobra if it was a corner or
Mm-hmm.
python. You know what I mean? So just
Yep.
understanding that. So when you hear a snake, you're like, okay, I know this. Now where am I in this? You know what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
important that you compartmentalize it, and that way you're not trying. It's not all you trying to take everything in at once. Like you can kind of break it down about, okay, I understand these, I understand those, and that'll kind of break it down and slow things down for you, man. But it's a lot. It's a lot that's going on. It's not
No, it
going to be
is.
easy.
It is.
Training camp is meant to challenge you physically, mentally, and it's your livelihood, though. You're not just playing it. You're not on scholarship no more. Like you're getting paid good money to do this job, and it's thousands of people who want that job. So should act accordingly.
Nah, for sure, man. And you hit it on the head, man. You got people um playing alongside you, man, that has wife, 3, 4, 5
Yeah,
kids. So they depending on you. You know what I'm saying?
facts.
So at the end of the day, it's all about accountability. And that's what you're gonna hear. I don't care what building you go in, what team you play for, accountability is gonna be one of those things that you're gonna hear, whether it's
Yeah,
in the building or outside the building. Whatever you do, somebody is depending on you. So again, young
facts.
guys, you're not young anymore. I don't care, rookie, one game, whatever. You got to
Yeah,
be accountable. You got to be accountable. So that's one thing I need you guys to really pay attention to and really take heed to when you walk in that locker room and them guys gonna be looking at you like, look, you here to help us win. You here to put food on my table for my kids. So I'm counting
yeah.
on you. So um,
That's
remember
coaches
that.
as well. Coaches as well. 'Cause the dynamic is different, in my opinion, on the pro level. Like, like it's not like college where the coaches are kind of like we all in this together. Like we co-workers at this point. Like, hey, you
Hmm.
know, if it's you could be in a room right now, where you are in your career, you could be like, hey, coach, this not really working with this group. Like this group ain't really. I know you're used to doing it that way, but this group is different. So we may need to do it this way or call something different because we're not getting it this way. You know what I mean? I've had to say that sometimes in certain meetings, but because it's like you said, everybody counting on everybody, man. And at this
Yeah,
point, with no preseason games, this is obviously something I never dealt with, but cats, y'all need to be like game planning for your own offense. Like you need to be going back and be like, all right, shoot, not only shoot, what are we doing install on the first, week of training camp last year? Let me see what this offense did last
yeah.
training camp for their first week. What plays were they running? What motion, what shift? Because they're putting in their installs the same way you putting in your installs. So if you could be a step ahead and be like, okay, you're seeing the same offense, same quarterback, same cadences, same receivers. So by week 2 of training camp, like you should be jumping route. You should be
You
making
should be
plays
floating out
where,
there.
yeah, we
Yeah,
should be out there locked in, not only knowing what I got going on, but what's going on the other side of the field because that's important, especially not having preseason game because preseason they pretty much glorify practices anyway.
practices. Yeah,
Coaches, coaches not really calling their exotic stuff; they calling base stuff. So just understand where you need to be and understand the type of concepts you're getting ran against you. You're gonna see them all throughout your career. So the quicker you can get an understanding, a grasp of it, the better off you'll be, man. The faster you'll play.
nah, for sure, man.
That's
There you
facts,
go.
man. Training camp. Training camp. We're gonna bring in Trey, bring in our guest, our first guest of the Man to Man pod. I know you're gonna bring a lot of energy, man. We're looking forward to it. And stay tuned. We back. Episode 5 of Man to Man. Myself, Darius Butler, AB. We got our first guest ever on the Man to Man pod, man. I met Tre Boston, man. So what's up to the people, Trey?
Man, what's up? What's up, man? It's an honor being the first.
Hey, man, appreciate that. Appreciate that. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, man. So, a lot of things going on around the sports world now, man. MLB is back playing games. NBA just started back Wednesday, their first 2 games. NFL is scheduled to go back. I know it's been a lot of back and forth with the calls between the players and the league. How's that whole process kind of been working out behind the scenes?
I mean, you know how negotiations can go between, the PA and the NFL.
Yeah.
It's been interesting. Having months to prepare for this, seeing how other leagues prepared for it. and to see how we're, a week out from the vets actually coming back, and a lot of questions are still up in the air. We're getting
Yeah.
answers. Might not be to the questions that we want, but they're giving us answers. So I think this next week's important because I think Friday we have another call, and I think we'll learn a few things and hopefully we learn a few things that gives the veterans the rights to say if they want to play or not.
Okay.
Yeah, and to piggyback up on that, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you feel right now as far as, you have a family, a wife, you have a son. How do you feel as a vet going in year 7? And you guys supposed to report on Tuesday. Do you feel comfortable at this time, reporting to camp?
I mean, if I'm being truthful, I don't. I don't feel
Yeah,
very comfortable, and it might not be just for me, but I don't feel comfortable for a lot of guys outside of guys who got to go to Texas, California, Florida. Luckily for me, I'm in Charlotte. I live here. I live in Florida a little bit too, but I knew not to stay in Florida this offseason.
right,
But with
right.
fam, you don't want to contract that and give that back to them. Having a 15-month-year-old, it's that's something I can't risk having my son have. People say, oh, well, they won't die. They're asymptomatic. It's just like, for
Yeah.
me, it's like, if you don't know what this can do to your lungs being healthy, if I don't know what it can do to my kids, my future, myself, it's tough to say, I want to go back and I'm so happy about going back like we do every year. We're pumped for this. It's like the first day of school when you go back to training camp.
Facts.
Yeah, yeah.
Right now, it's not really that feeling. It's really a feeling of, can we please get these questions answered so we feel comfortable going back?
I guess my question will kind of be, what will make you guys feel comfortable? I know if I was in that locker room, it's just so many people with football. Even we're seeing with the NBA, they've been successful with not having, tested a bunch of guys. Nobody came back positive. They were able to have that bubble. And I know in the NFL that's
Yeah,
impossible to have a bubble. It's just too many people involved in the operation. I see they've dropped the number from 90 to 80 guys reporting, which
yeah.
help a little bit, but you still got a ton of guys in there. So what will make you guys, I guess, feel a little more comfortable?
I mean, honestly, guys want to know, can we opt out? How much money we get if we can opt out? Because
Yep.
a lot of guys, I mean, you could say we can be as comfortable as we can be. You know how it is. All these
Yeah.
players, lockers next to each other, showers, hot tub, practicing. Like
It's a
you can't
lot.
get
Yeah.
It's a
all
lot.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of
Meetings.
guys, the question that we want is, what is our opt out deal? And then we're hearing if we do opt out, we can't opt back in. So of course, guys are, what's the money behind that?
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, seeing pictures. They're telling us what they're doing. Hey, we're moving lockers 6 feet apart. We're meeting rooms are 6 feet apart. And you guys, y'all been in locker rooms, y'all been in meeting rooms. How do you get 6 feet
Yeah,
apart?
You can't. You
Uh,
yeah,
can't.
you can't.
And it don't matter if you're
so,
gonna be practicing
so,
against Cavs
so for
anyway.
me,
Exactly.
I think it's being realistic behind scenes, knowing that y'all can talk about it all day. You can show me it on paper, but show me the proof, behind the pudding. And it's I got the rookies in there right now. I got them taking pictures for us, but it's tough when those guys don't know what stuff is used to. This their
Yeah,
first
what it's
time,
supposed to
so
look like. Yeah.
you're trying to get info from guys who have never even been in the building before. So to be comfortable, shoot, let us know how much money we can get if we stay home.
Nah, and
Yeah.
that and that's 100 right
That's
there.
real. That's
And
real.
and and like you said, like you got rookies really like test dummies right now.
Yeah,
And really that's what they are. And it's unfortunate. And obviously, for rookies, man, we all been rookies at one point. Shoot, we was excited to get in the locker room. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's been our dream our whole
what?
time. So as a rookie, you're not gonna say I'm not coming.
Yeah.
So again, like you said, like as far as 80 players, I don't see how you can have 80 players and distance 80 players 6 feet from one another in the locker room. And you know what I'm saying? It's not like they can tell the average fan who's never been in the locker room, who's never been in the training room or whatever the case may be, but you telling this to guys who's been doing it for 5, 6, 7, 10 plus years. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
um that's tough, man. That's tough.
That's
yeah, yeah.
crazy, man. Hopefully we figure it out, man. We'll shift. Let's shift to I guess this off season. So with all these questions in the air, you still obviously got to prepare.
Yeah.
Like a season's gonna happen, and you've been a pro for going on 7 years now. So I know this offseason was different, a lot of different ways. Like you said, you weren't even in Florida as much as you usually are. So how's this offseason been as far as when it comes to training?
Yeah. I think, something I had the advantage of was the last two off season before this, I was deep in the free agency. So I was signing, right before training camp for the last two seasons.
Yeah,
So I was training by myself already, getting right. So this is, for me, this was normal. This is my third season going with, no NFL facility, not having to go through, meetings and stuff. So guys, a lot of guys were calling me to see, Trey, how did you do this? How did you manage to do this? A lot of free agents asking me, how did you wait this long?
yeah,
And for me, it's just being able to take, what I learned the last few years and take that to this year. I think it's helped because, all you need is a field and some weights, man. I think a lot of
you can
guys
make it happen.
um, they get accustomed to living that pro life, college, and they forget how much they used to grind when they was in high school.
Yeah,
And taking it back to them times when all you needed was just a field of football and not even a friend. Shoot, I'm out there with my son, and just to see
yeah,
him do
Mm-hmm.
little ladders,
That's real.
that pumps me up because I know he watching. So for me,
Yeah.
I just take it one day at a time, knowing that it don't take nothing crazy to get us prepared. You just got to stay conditioned as a pro. Stay on the weights and be consistent. Because I think a lot of things, a lot of times guys when they're at home, they wake up, they might have the kids, they might have stuff they got to do, meetings, and they forget about the grind. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh,
yeah.
I'll do it tonight. And you got to wake up with that mentality that get it in, because the other men get it in too, and you just got to keep that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, going in on year 7, a vet now.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
a vet now. Last year, coming off a good year, man. A solid year, real good year. Now this year though, new coaching staff, new quarterback. As a vet of the team, man, how do you think you guys will be able to maneuver and not really say overcome, but really come together and have a good season this year?
Yeah, I think it very first starts with chemistry. When you're talking about guys who don't know each other, man, I haven't seen 95% of my teammates' faces.
Yeah.
When you're talking about new coaches, whole new team from pretty much up to, to the top to the bottom, management, it's there's a lot of things I would say stacked against us. But I think the closer we come together, the closer we build those bonds, you get to know your brother, know who you're fighting for, is when, the rest will come. Of course, we got to get in the playbook. We got to believe in ourselves. And we know, at the beginning of the season, when you're a fresh team, some teams either believe in themselves or they don't. In those first
Yeah.
four
Hmm.
games, they win or lose by 7 points, 3 points, because they didn't believe, because
Yep.
they didn't know how good they were. They didn't know how successful they can be. And I think, as a leader of this team, that's what I want to install in those guys. I want to make sure we had that swag early. I want to, I text and FaceTime my guys now, especially my group, so we can get to know each other, see each other's faces. We might not be able to be in these meeting rooms, but how close can we get as friends? So when we get back to the meeting room, we get back in the locker room, we actually know each other. We feel comfortable around each other. We don't feel like we're, around strangers, because right
Yeah.
now, again, a lot of guys are going to be strangers when we walk in this locker room, and
Yeah.
and then you're talking about 6 feet apart, not being able to touch each other because of COVID, stuff like that. It's important. So I think chemistry is the number one thing we have to build around here.
Yeah, that's definitely. I think I saw a stat. It's like less than 50% of the snaps from last year coming back for the Panthers, which is obviously leading the league. So that's crazy. You usually see a lot of turnover in the league, but that's a little extreme. Having, like you said, I think two new coordinators, new head coach, new quarterback. But hey, man, y'all got some good pieces, man. I know Teddy B. He's one of the great young South Florida cats who's gonna
Yeah.
bring that swag to the team, man. So I'm excited to see y'all get out there and get after it, man. But me and Twan talked about it probably a couple episodes ago about how important that having that leadership is on the back end, especially. And we actually said the same thing you said, just knowing each other. You know what I mean? Knowing each other's, kids or situations at home, just like you feel
Yeah,
more invested in that person. So it'll
Yeah,
definitely be some challenges, but like I said, man, I'm looking forward to y'all overcoming that, man. But
nah,
them
for
young
sure.
guys, yeah. So them young guys are in there now. So I guess talking to them, talking to cats that's just coming there bright eyed, bushy tail right now. I know for me when I came to training camp, like it was just everything was just warp speed. Like we was on installs, and before we know, we on install 3 or 4, and I'm still trying to get the first one. I'm trying to figure out how I can sneak a nap in throughout my day and schedule. So I guess what would be some couple tips to guys just so they know what's coming to training camp and just how to overcome it, how to make their team.
yeah. I mean, I think I tell my guys it's football. Your drops are going to be the same. Somebody got to be somewhere. It's just different people doing. And
Yep.
when you learn route concepts on offense, I think the biggest thing when you come in, like a reindeer, a deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
You just think so much is coming at you at once. I just try to get my guys to process it a little bit slower. As a vet, you might ask a few more questions so that the coach slows it
So the
down, gives
Facts.
them more detail. Is doing things like that taking guys to the side after meetings. Hey, did you understand that? How can I help you? And how can I ask a question for you? You might not feel
Yeah.
comfortable asking that question as a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
I take pride on that. Having AB when we were in Arizona, that helped me a lot too. Because we would always talk to each other, but AB wasn't afraid to speak his mind. And me, I'm not afraid to ask a question either. So you
Yeah.
need
at
guys
all.
like that who are able to help the young guys because when you come in young, you just you don't really want to ask too many questions because you don't want to come off as not knowing the stuff. You don't know if
Yep.
guys are learning it faster than you. So for my guys, I try to take that over, but at the same time teach them how to slow it down and know that, man, this is football, man. So if we in third, somebody got to have the thirds, somebody got to have the curl flats in the hooks,
Yep.
man. So it's little things like that has them, gives them ability to breathe and say, okay, this is just football.
Yeah.
Nah, real. That's real. Obviously, on this show, man, we kind of trying to give the viewers and the listeners, man, the perspective of DBs. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people watch the game, fans watch the game, but they just watch it as they are fans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With myself, D Butt, and a safety, D Butt playing everything, corner,
Yeah.
nickel, safety. What do you say is one of the most important attributes that you bring to the secondary? Obviously, like you said, we played in 18, so obviously, I always came across with like, yo, Tre Bo, he's smart. He's gonna be in the right place. Um, no, no, he's gonna come down. He's gonna lay the wood. Pause. But at the end
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
day,
Pause that. Pause that.
pause, 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 pause. But as a as a as a safety, as a safety man, what do you feel as though one of your major attributes that you bring to a team in the secondary?
Yeah, I think like you said, being smart. As a safety, we got to line everybody up. We got to tell people what to do. They got to be willing to trust us. And besides that, being physical. One thing about you that I love, man, I would tell you in games, man. Hey, I'm sorry, man. Like you out there tackling everything. like AB,
Bruh.
like no matter how many years he been in the league, man, to this day, this man can play with like the best of them.
Yeah.
And I felt he never got his credit. And being that physical attribute back there, not only being able to tell guys what to do, but have a presence back there that guys not when they trust you, they know you can back it up behind it. And that's making big plays. That's being able to limit touchdowns and that's something, AB, shoot, I couldn't tell you how many touchdowns he limited in Arizona. That's because we were giving up a bunch,
Yeah.
and that's just, that's something that I take to my game. I want to be smart. I want to have a leadership that the guys respect and they know behind it. It ain't just all talk. He don't just know it all. This is the playmaker. And, being able to, get the rock. That's the biggest thing about being a DB, man. You got to find a way to get to the rock, whether it's a peanut punch, fumble, or it's
Mm-hmm.
interceptions. You got to find your way around the rock and make your presence felt.
Yeah. Now
Ball
it's funny.
production is key.
It's funny. I remember that game. We were playing the Chargers we were playing the Chargers in LA, and I don't know what it was, man. I made a tackle on the sideline. I was just sitting there for a minute. Trey Bo come up to me and was like, OG, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Bro, looking tired.
Man, it was one of
No,
them
man, we
days,
was making
man.
all the tackles, man. All the
Yeah.
tackles, man. Safeties, boy. I mean, we don't get enough love, cuz. Sweat AB don't get enough
Man.
love. But that man had like over 100 tackles. And everywhere you go. It's
Yeah,
just,
that's a fact.
it's crazy.
That's
It's
a fact. A
crazy.
lot
I
of
don't know how he do it, man. I
politics.
don't know how he stay so healthy. He come back, he practice. He practice
Bro,
fast. He play fast, man. Like I
what
said,
was
man,
an
I had to tell that man
Iron
sorry in the
Man?
middle of the game.
Man, if people could hear all the mid-game conversations, bro, that we used to have some classics on
Classic,
the sideline,
classic,
man.
classic.
But I know you got some stuff going on off the field, man, with the D1 sports and something like that. Tell us a little bit more about that, man.
Yeah. So me and a couple of my guys, Sammy Watkins, Jalen Watkins, all of us in the league, we all came into the league 2014, all grew up together, started playing Pop Warner together, spread out to different Pop Warner teams, different high school teams. And we felt that, we wanted to do something for our city. And we felt, this D1 training facility would be great for our kids, man. We wanted to give
Yep.
our kids a safe haven, somewhere that they can train, feel safe. Don't got to just go to the field that we talk about in high school. Just going to a field, if it rains, pours, we don't care. We out there. I wanted to give them D1 training. I wanted to give them the elite training to get not only the kids but the parents, building a community around health. Obviously we know health is wealth. So I wanted
Facts.
to, not only me but those guys. We wanted to bring D1 to our city and create that safe haven to where we can build that community behind it. People love being around each other. People, just like the locker room, having that chemistry with each other. People looking out for each other and expanding on top of that. Hopefully people can get business done together, building
Yeah.
families outside. So, that's something we're going to bring next summer to Fort Myers, Florida. And, we're talking about opening up multiples so we can just keep building, keep doing things
Yeah.
with our foundation through the D1 facility. But, getting these young players who we know are talented, the right training, we got everybody who want to be a coach these days and
Yeah.
different techniques, but we want to give them D1 training so when they go off, they're prepared for the next level.
Nah, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff, man. Definitely want to give shout outs to everybody, man. All the fellas, man, doing great stuff off the field, man. So Tre Boston, man, you and your crew out there in Fort Myers, man.
That's big
Sammy
time.
Watkins, Jalen Watkins, man. Definitely a salute to you guys, what y'all
Big
doing for
time.
y'all community, man.
Nah,
That's big
appreciate y'all
time, man.
boys,
Big
man.
time.
Appreciate y'all.
We talk about a
Man,
lot of things on the show, and that's one of them. Is what guys got going on off the field. Making more of a bigger impact. Not only what we got going on the field, but off the field. So that's a great example of that, man. So appreciate that.
man, before we let you go, we got a question, man, from Twitter, man, from Dylan Bean.
Yeah.
And if y'all follow Trey, man, what's your what is it? Tre Boss?
Yeah.
Trey.
Yeah. Tre Boston, BOS 10, a little clever. So Tre
Yeah.
Boston 10.
So y'all follow that boy, man, on all his social media accounts. But we had a question. And if you follow him, man, he put up a bunch of clips of him playing and him on the golf course or whatever the case may be. So Dylan Bean wants to know, where do you get all this energy from?
Yeah, I would say if people know my mom, they would know where I get my energy from, man. My mom is very energetic. And growing up, she just, she taught me, energy is transferred, and so many people negative in this world. When you have that positivity, you bring great people around you. People want to be around you. I would say my mom is where I get it from. Of course, my God is the one who gave it to her, but my mom is definitely me in a nutshell, man. If y'all met her, man, she is as energized as they come, man.
Hey man,
But
if we ever needed positive energy, it's right now in 2020, man. We need as much positive energy as we
Amen.
can get, man, because
for sure.
Lord knows we need it. But hey man,
Amen.
appreciate you again, man, for coming on. Our first guest, the Man
First
to
guess.
Man Pod. Appreciate you, man. It was great sitting
Nah,
down,
man, I
chopping it up.
appreciate y'all boys, man. Salute to y'all boys doing this, man. I love to support y'all boys, man. Honored to be the first guest, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Appreciate you,
Appreciate you,
man.
boss.
All right, brodies.
All right, bro.
All right. Once again, man, we would like to thank Trey for coming on our show, man, coming on the podcast. Like we said, he was our first guest, but definitely, man, he gave us a lot of insight. Obviously,
Definitely.
as far as him and his career, like he was saying, just with the whole off season, his past 2 years, man, going deep into free agency, so he's kind of been acclimated to this whole process. Obviously, the good things that he's doing off the field in Fort Myers with the D1 facility down there. So definitely salute to that Tre Bo, because again, this show is more about than what we're doing on the field. It's about what we're doing off the field as well. So again, salute to you,
Absolutely.
Tre Bo. But wishing Tre Boston the best. I think one of the underrated safeties in the league right now.
Yeah,
He's
slept
definitely a
on for
ball
sure.
hawk. He plays the game the way it's supposed to be. Energy is always on 1,000. So again, man, thank you to our first guest, Tre
Yes,
Boston.
sir. Y'all give him a follow on the socials. Trey BOS 10 on IG and Twitter, man. Y'all follow him.